Greetings, friends, and mostly enemies. Welcome back to the channel. I'm actually live streaming this on Twitch and then clipping it out and YouTubing it. I'm YouTubing it out my butt because, fuck YouTube. It's a pile of shit platform. The once great giant of video content on the internet, now a cesspool of festering idiocy. Thanks, Susan. So anyways, we're going to be reading the next chapter of Garden of Lies. Chapter 16, Ripjaws. If you want to be here for the live reading and be able to live tweet, comment, and interact with me while I'm actually doing the live readings, then you're going to have to go check me out over on Twitch if you're feeling adventurous. An E after the your because it's properly spelled.
Because we're authors.
And that's where we do the Saturday show and all kinds of other content over there as well. And so without further ado, let's get into it, as Major Kill says. Alrighty, everyone. The Garden of Lies. Chapter 16. Ripjaw.
Yeah.
I reach down and grab her. Sorry, let me start over. I reach down and grab her under her arms and stand, holding her in front of me, as if she were a small child. Eep! She squeaks meekly. What are you doing here, Angel? I ask, doing my best to keep the anger and consternation from my voice. I only partially succeed. I thought you would like some company on your trip, she says in a voice obviously intended to ask if I will just accept the obvious lie. Try again, I say with a flat voice and a blank stare. Eep, she squeaks quieter this time. I exhale in exasperation. Okay, I really wanted to see you compete? Angel, I am getting more irritated by the second. Thrice I ask, and done. Why are you stowing away in my wagon? She lets out a puff of defeated air and shakes her head, seemingly losing all her energy. I can't tell you. That fucks me right off. My grip tightens on her ribs. I feel like a fuse has been lit and I'm about to do something I'll regret. But then she looks at me with shock and fear. My guts twist into knots, and I drop her the 12 inches to the wagon floor. I breathe and lightly touch the mountain to maintain control without totally killing my justified anger. I'm sorry. I have been known to have a short fuse. But seriously, Angel, why the void are you here? I ask again. I'd like to know that too, Amnes says from outside, the bulk of my group now staring into the back of my wagon. Angel visibly shrinks under the combined gaze. I have private business in the capital. I needed a ride, but they're expensive, and the road isn't safe for lone humans. I needed to do this. It was the only way. You could have asked me. Would you have said yes? She counters. It doesn't matter. It's my damn wagon. It's my pack. You've put me in an awkward spot here, Angel. I either have to take you, kick you out, or turn around. None of those options appeal to me. I stand and wait for a rebuttal. None comes. I'm sorry. She says it in such a small, pathetic voice. You can barely hear her, and not forgive her all at once. I sigh loudly. You've been in the wagon all day. Go find a bush and we can figure this out when you're back. Oh my gods, yes, thank you. She clambers out of my wagon and is about to scamper off. Will one of you ladies come with me? I'm scared of Ripjaws. Me and all of my gathered friends exchange a look. You know the look. Whatever. I'll watch you pee, Tenna finally says. Oh, you. Okay, Angel says. That makes everyone exchange a look again, but the two wander off to answer nature's call. I can't believe this. I either walk into the shaman capital, the seat of all shaman power in the Empire, with a traitor to the Empire, or I sentence her to a likely death by kicking her out. Or I turn around and make some or all of us late for the trial, therefore likely disqualifying us. This girl has been nothing but trouble since she put on that bit of street theater. I feel a headache coming on. I sit down by the fire after retrieving our dinner and wine, weighing my options while Pogs and Amnes cook and discuss the fine points of brewing. Steerguild comes over and crouches next to me. I'm not really comfortable bringing her along, boss. I quirk an eyebrow at that, curious as to his reasons. Explain, Stir. Capital isn't exactly known for being friendly to humans. Free or not, could garner us some unwanted attention. I'm not keen on getting into trouble in the capital of all places. He has a point. Group of shifters parading around a free human without a damn good reason could look really conspicuous. I agree with Stalker. Being seen with a free human could be taken as a sign of weakness, or worse, dissent. Amnes stares matter-of-factly. I do know some shifter cultures take human sympathy to mean weakness, but the bigger issue is the charge of dissent. If someone accuses us of that, we could also be in deep shit. The accusation would bring investigation, which in turn might lead to revelations, which in turn would fuck me. This all bears serious consideration on my part. I had a lot of fun writing the end of that sentence, by the way. Or excuse me, that paragraph. This masterpiece right here. I had a lot of fun writing that. After a few minutes, Angel and Tenna approach the camp. Angel looks like she is about to say something. Nuh-uh, I point to the ground next to the rock I'm sitting on. Sit down, shut up, and let me figure out what I'm doing with you. She makes a pouty face, but stomps over and does as she's told. Tenna and a few of the others giggle and snicker at her temper tantrum. If I wasn't so pissed, so would I. After a few more minutes, I decide I need to grill her for more info to make a good decision. Angel, follow me, I say sternly. Okay, she says. There's a few odd looks, and a catcall or two. Noticeably absent from the fanfare is Kira and Pogs. They look into the fire, or off into the darkness. I march Angel downstream a ways, until I'm totally sure we cannot be overheard. What the void are you thinking? You want to get us both killed? I practically shout. She shakes her head no. Then why, Angel? Why in the void are you here? If this is about your rebellion nonsense, I told you. No truth, no help. I won't die for a cause if the supporters of that cause can't even trust me with their recruiting pitch. She winces from that. Like she knows I have a point. Or like she knows how mad I am and is scared again. Either way, it makes me feel brutish and mean. I wait for her answer, taking the time to steady myself. Breathe in the cool, moist air of the stream. Let the anger and frustration suffuse the air in my lungs. Exhale the emotions. Steady. NGO once taught me it can help to write down and recite a mental process in your head. It's one of the basic and fundamental techniques I use. I recite one I wrote long ago. Close your eyes and let the cold take you. Comments, Caitlin? It's only been a few moments, but I have frozen away all the anger, all the frustration. Answer me, Angel, I say without emotion. She looks at me, into my eyes, and looks confused. Where did you go? She whispers, asking herself the question. I would feel a pinch in my chest if I had a heart to feel in this state. Then she snaps herself out of it. I really do have private business in the capital. If you aren't on board, I can't tell you. More secrets. Possibly lies. This girl is a walking enigma wrapped in cuteness, using misdirection and manipulation to keep me off balance. Only in this state where I am cold and logical and unfeeling do I truly realize that. But I am not without curiosity or empathy. And I cannot live inside the mountain. Some have tried. They always, and I mean always, go insane. Some go catatonic, others become gibbering whack jobs. A select few turn into homicidal maniacs. Another reason why shaman are very selective about who learn it. I decide that the most logical course of action is to simply take her and do my best to prevent a situation from developing. Should the worst case scenario happen, I will be forced to turn her in, and lie and say I turned her in as soon as I found out. Even here inside the mountain, the thought makes me sick to my stomach, which shocks me. Do I really have such deep feelings for this human girl? I barely know her. But then again, her voice has haunted my dreams for years. So be it, I say, and walk past her to return to camp. As my body walks the shore, I let my mind walk out of the mountain and return to Nurmur. I'm sorry, she says as she runs to walk at my side. No, you aren't. You keep saying you're sorry, but your behavior stays the same. You feel regret that I'm holding you accountable, not because you're doing something bad. My words sting her into silence, and I can see from the corner of my eye as she wipes away tears. But now that my anger is being allowed to thaw out, I still don't feel sorry for her. One more thing, I say to get her attention. How the void do I not smell you right now? How do you hide your scent from a pack of wolves? I have to know that knowledge. Knowledge like that could come in handy. Oh, right. She reaches into the folds of her dark green dress and produces a vial. Everine oil. Kills every smell under the sun. Back at camp, the food is ready, and everyone has helped themselves to mine and Pog's wine. I grab the cask with its tap. It's only got a little left. I get no respect, I tell ya, I say as I grab and fill my mug. My dinner is delicious. Everyone seems quite taken in by Pog's and Amnes's joint efforts. How did you season this? I ask. Wild berries mixed with herbs make a sweet and savory glaze, Amnes says. I never would have guessed she could cook. As I sit and eat, Angel looks at the others eating and drinking their fill, and looks sad and hungry. I finish my plate and hold it out to Pogs. Dish me seconds, would ya? He nods his head and gives me a second round of chow. I fill my mug with wine, and when I get my plate back, I hand them both to Angel. She takes a delighted, inhaling gasp as she takes the plate and begins chowing down. Thank you so much. It's so good, she says after taking a few bites. She takes a drink of our red wine, and her face smooths out, and she appears to calm. A few of us have been watching her out of amusement, and this piques our interest. What? I ask her. When she doesn't move or say anything for a while, that seems to snap her out of a haze. It reminds me of home. After we all eat and get everything squared away, people start hitting the bedrolls one by one, until it's just me and Pogs left awake. The only one without a bedroll. I tell Angel she can borrow mine. I hesitate to sleep around the others, especially those I haven't slept around before, after what Pogs told me. You're really bringing her? He asks after I tell him what me and her discussed alone. It's the only option I can live with, I answer. It's stupid. It's right. You're risking everyone's lives over her. He stares me down with a stern look. Engio specifically told me to prevent you from doing stupid shit like this. Then maybe he should have raised his adoptive daughter to not be such a reckless little... I trail off. A reckless little what, Dalj? He presses, but I ignore him. I'm not going to tell him I wanted to say cutie. Would not help my case in the slightest. I won't let this affect the others. Whatever repercussions might come, I will make sure they land squarely on me. I swear it. I meet his eyes as I say it, because I mean it. I don't want you to fry for this either, Dalj, he says, concern deeply rooted in his voice. I nod, but I have no reply to assuage his worries. So we sit by our fire until the coals are all that is left. He goes to sleep, and I act as our camp's guard for the night. I'm gonna have to figure out this sleep issue pretty soon. Can't stay awake forever. I stay awake by pacing about camp and practicing my blade work by moonlight. I'm not much of a knife fighter, so I make sure to practice with it as well. Occasionally, I hear the echoes of the voices and the laughter, as if they are waiting in the dark just beyond the light of the new flames from the fresh fuel I placed on our coals. Despite all my training, all my mastery of body and mind, whatever this thing going on in my head is, it's scaring the void out of me. Or maybe into me. I put more wood on the fire to drive the darkness back as far as I can, and never stray too far from the safety of its light. After hours of blade training and fire tending, the first rays of dawn crack the western skyline. The horizon is given a myriad of beautiful colors by the reflections of the Leviathan Sea. They say there are coral reefs in the Leviathan Sea that hold every color a man can see. Someday I would very much like to see them. But despite the stunning horizon, I spend the sunrise gazing upon Angel's sleeping form, curled into a ball in my bedroll. Part of me still madder than all of the demons of the void that she stowed away. Part of me aching to curl up next to her. It doesn't take long for the sun to wake Tenefe. Nothing better than waking up next to a sunrise. Or, nothing better than waking up to a sunrise, she says. I can imagine a few things I'd rather wake up to, Amnes says from her bedroll next to Tenna's. The two became fast friends, much like me and Sin. Then again, me and Tenna are pretty friendly too. Still, Tenna gives Amnes a knowing smile, like there's an inside scoop I'm unaware of. The camp gradually wakes. Waking Myrrh is like trying to wake the dead. Waking Angel is like trying to wake a skeleton. I eventually give up on Angel, and after we all eat breakfast, I literally scoop her up, bedroll and all, much like I did before, and deposit her in the wagon before we all head out. It's roughly another 3 hours before she finally wakes up. She complains about missing breakfast, so I hand her a piece of jerky I saved her. Then she complains about needing to go. I tell her tough luck. We ain't stopping till it's time for a break. Other than the presence of a small, cute, annoying yet somehow endearing stowaway, today goes along much like yesterday did. We occasionally stop for a quick break. We banter amongst ourselves. I seem to be the only one willing to talk to Angel, except for Tenna, who makes a few attempts, but for some reason, Angel doesn't seem interested in talking to her. I really can't figure it, which grates on me. The day bleeds on and on. The sun is starting to dip into its eastern horizon as the hours pass, until a gust of wind brings the faint whispers of cries for help. You smell that? Stir asks everyone. I do, Pogs says grimly. I hear it, I say. What? What's going on? Tenna asks. Oh yeah, that's right. Our noses and ears are a bit better than the cat's. Easy to forget sometimes. Ripjaws, Stir says, iron in his voice. Angel inches closer to me when he says it. Stop, everyone. We get the wagon stopped, and I formulate a quick plan of action. Tenna, Bastion, you two aren't fighters, so stay with the wagon and Angel. Pogs, you stay here as well to guard them. Everyone else with me. 1, I don't take orders from you. 2, why are you bothering to hunt them down? They ain't attacking us. Senkotsu chimes in. I glare daggers at him. 1, fine. Do what you want. 2, I can hear someone shouting for help. Everyone on me, I say as I turn and begin running, making the change as I go. I guess Sin didn't want to miss out on the action, because after a few moments, he pulls up alongside me, also shifting as we run. No time to stop and wait for class to make the change. They're just going to have to catch up. Sin, Stir, Kira, Amnis, and I charge forth, sprinting to the aid of whoever is being accosted by the Ripjaws. I pray we make it in time. It doesn't take us long to follow the road to the source of the shouting. A cart with a lone man has been surrounded by a small pack of 3 Ripjaws. The massive hunter-scavengers prod and snap their jaws at him. He swings a sword in defense. He clearly is not a fighter. If this went on much longer, they would have worn him down and eventually gotten him. I gaze upon the only real existential threat to shaman and shifter alike. Ripjaws are what many think the demons of the void look like. Standing 4 to 4.5 feet high at the shoulder in adulthood, with 4 long, wiry legs that give them deceptive speed and agility, long, narrow bodies and snouts, disproportionately long and slender tails, and cruel, serrated, inward curving fangs. Their eyes are set off to the sides of their faces, giving them a wide field of vision, and their nose is as good as any wolf or war dog's. Sometimes, I think, if not for the amazing powers of the shaman, we could never have reduced their numbers enough to claim this world. The shaman themselves would certainly back that theory. As we close, the Ripjaws have to choose between losing a meal or losing their lives. What makes them more dangerous than any other single trait is their intellect. Like wolves, they can coordinate as a group, problem solve, and weigh pros and cons of a situation. They know that just by numbers we have it. Their predator senses will tell them we are not the average shifters. When we're still a few hundred feet out, They make the decision to haul ass out of here. I count us lucky it was such a small group. The man by the cart is half scared to death. He sags against it when they leave. We come to a halt, and I shift back to address him. Easier to talk in human form. Some words don't form right with a snout. Greetings, traveler. Looks like we managed to get here just in time. He shoots up from the ground and clamps onto me for dear life. Oh my gods! Thank you so much! I thought I was gonna die! I was sure I was Ripjaws shit in the making! Thank you, thank you, thank you! He's sobbing the whole while he says it. I can barely understand the guy. I don't want to be insensitive, but this is a bit much. I push him off. Alright, man. It's alright. We got you. Guys, stay here with him, will ya? I gotta go get Goliath. Amnes nods, and I waste no time. As I run back to collect the others, I let my mind wander a bit. Haven't had any alone time since yesterday morning. Not used to spending time around people for more than a day. The time alone is nice, even if it's just a few minutes. But then, I smell a smell most unwelcome, and I realize I should not have let my mind wander. I start craning my neck every which way until I spot them. The Ripjaws circle around, hoping they could isolate a target. I can't outrun them. They're the only thing on Garden that can outrun a shifter. At least a canid shifter. I have to stand my ground. I have just enough time to change before they are upon me. I try to loose a howl for help, but they are on me. But they know an SOS in action when they see it. They press and force me to dodge, claws and bites. I have to dedicate my wind to my muscles, or I'll slow down and die. Whenever they come in, I swipe with a claw of my own, but I still have to give ground or risk being torn to shreds. I'm constantly jumping backwards and swiping, but Ripjaws are so fast and nimble. I can't dodge all of them all at once. I collect claw marks and grazing bites quickly, only returning half of what I take if I'm lucky. I know if I can last long enough, help will come. Just a matter of how long that might take. I told one group to wait, another is guarding an otherwise defenseless target. Angel stowing away just might get me killed sooner rather than later. The Ripjaws force me off the road, and despite my best efforts, corral me against a boulder. At this point, I have to spare the breath. I manage to loose a quick howl between heavy breaths. Hiding inside the mountain numbs pain. Hides aching muscles, but it doesn't put oxygen or sugar back in my blood. Eventually, you start slowing down, and you either finish the fight or die. In a 1-verse-3 scenario like this, it's hard to wear down the enemy. They can trade off labor and take quick breathers. I'm on constant defense. Back to the wall as I am, I have to swipe faster and harder to fend them off. I get some good hits in, but nothing disabling. They can outlast me. They're gonna bleed me out and eat my guts for dinner. I can't believe this Goliath-sized shit. The two off to the sides part and make a gap. The one in the middle backs up. He's gonna take a running leap at me. And if he doesn't kill me, his buddies will while I'm throwing him off. He crouches, and with a powerful burst of his legs, sprints at me, then jumps. The Ripjaw flies at me, and my heart thunders. All I can do at this point is ready my claws and hope I can rake and bite my way out of the frenzy that is about to ensue. Just as I am sure this is it, I hear the roar of a panther. Senkotsu slams into the side of the Ripjaw like a lightning bolt slams into the ground. They land in a tumble and become a blur of teeth and claws, one which I have no time to watch, because the other two now set upon me. They lunge in unison, which is ironically what saves me. I crouch down low and duck forward to get into position. My hands shoot up as I jump into the air. I manage to grab their necks and turn them upside down. I bring them down to the ground in what has got to be the first double Ripjaw chokeslam in history. I would give my big toe to have had a witness. They loose whelping snarls as they writhe in pain, and I waste no time in bounding away from them and turning around to face them again. The one on the left is up and ready to go when I turn, but his friend on the right lags behind. Must have managed to break something on that one. I am able to spare a glance at Sin. His opponent lies still on the ground. Sin is crouched over his kill, a clawed hand pressed onto a deep wound on his right thigh. I think my opponents notice the shift in numbers because they hesitate to attack. They realize the day is lost. They turn and run, and I'm too cut up to care to pursue. I limp on over to Sin. You okay, man? He nods. Managed to scratch the shit out of me. He raises his hand to show me the wound. It's a pretty mangled affair. Let's get that cleaned out and dressed. I get under an arm, and we limp our bloody asses back to the wagon. I drag the Ripjaw along with us. Leave it here. It will attract more. Plus, dinner. You came for me, I say as we struggle up the small rise that leads onto the road. You think I wouldn't? Never really know until it happens. Which is true. Talk is cheap. We buried bodies together, Dalj. I got you for life. He grins, despite his whopper of a leg wound and the shock he's going into. I nod. Same, Sin. Once the group at the wagon sees us, Pogs rushes over and picks up Sin like a kid. I think Sin would protest, but he's halfway to passing out from blood loss. We gotta get that sealed, I say. You're leaking pretty bad too, boss. I look down. Oh, Void. He's right. I'm not far behind Sin now that I take stock of my body and the adrenaline is fading. I'm pretty lightheaded too. Acting as a team under my direction, we use wine to sterilize his wound. Then Tenefe volunteers to stitch him up, saying she knows basic medicine too. I would do it, but my hands are shaking. While she does that, I clean and dress the rest of my collection of bites and cuts. He passes out somewhere along the way, most likely from shock. It's a frenzied 15 minutes or so, but true to her word, Tenna manages to stitch him up, sufficient to stop the bleeding. His other wounds aren't too bad. I'm about to start giving Bastion orders to build a fire, but the ground seems like a really cool place to nap all of a sudden. When I wake up, it's dark out. I can tell not because I open my eyes, but because it's chilly. Wait, I lost a ton of blood. Better open my eyes to make sure. Oh good, it really is nighttime. I peek around. They built a fire, and the remains of the Ripjaw are spit roasted over it. Sin is lying on the other side, under several blankets I don't recognize. I am too, now that I check. Hey guys, Dalj is awake, Angel calls. I follow her voice up. How did I not notice my head is resting in her lap? Dalj, are you okay? How you feel? Kira's voice asks, concern dripping. Ripped to shreds, I reply. He's making jokes. He's good, Amnes declares, sure of her estimates. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Sin? My turn to be concerned. He's too stubborn to die. He's breathing, Tenna informs me. Thank gods, I whisper to myself. I know. I'm so glad you're okay, Angel says. Her hand comes to my cheek, and her thumb strokes it. much like mine stroked hers. Who bandaged me? Me and Kira, Angel replies. I nod lightly. Thanks. Thank you so much for saving me. I really can't thank you enough. I look for the new voice. It's the traitor we saved. He sits by his cart nearby and watches me, concern and admiration on his face and in his voice. He's a smaller man, thin, blonde like me, with brown eyes and a badger face. Not a pretty man at all. But I guess we all can't be cursed. But I guess we can't all be cursed with rugged good looks. He wears simple cotton clothes and sturdy leather sandals. Obviously not a highly successful trader, unless he hides his wealth. I hear the smart ones do that on the road. As a warrior of this nation, it is my duty and honor. Think nothing of it. I can't help the wise-ass smirk on my face. They called you Dalj. You wouldn't happen to be the Mad Wolf, Dalj Thorn, would you? That gets my attention. How many other guys you heard of named after the Jester God? I retort. Right, of course. Forgive me, he says. So, you've heard of me, I say. Gods, yes! Why, you're the talk of the towns. Everyone is talking about the dire wolf who won his hunt, laughed in the face of his council and elder, and then got titled for it. They say you're stark raving mad, he gushes. If I didn't know better, I'd say I have a fan. I grin even harder, chuckling a bit. They're half right, too, I whisper, and Angel smiles at me. As I talk with this guy, something seems a little off. I'm getting this, I don't know, this vibe from him. It seems familiar somehow, but I can't quite place it. It's also strange that he was traveling alone. Not common even for skilled fighters like me. Ripjaws are just too damn dangerous. Then there is his manner. He's acting weird. Sure, it takes all types, but this guy is gushing like a little kid meeting their hero. It all seems a bit odd. I rack my brain and rack my brain. Then, while I'm listening to him describe the first time he heard about me, I remember where I felt this vibe before. This strange sensation. Back then I chalked it up to adrenaline or a sick stomach, or a combination thereof, for that matter. But now I realize it was its own unique warning bell in my head. I had this tingling in the back of my head when I saw Arian and his boys bite the dust. Or ash, as it was. This guy is a shaman. But if I'm right, why was he swinging a sword at the Ripjaws? Even a weak shaman can do enough damage to scare away a small pack like that. The shaman me and Sin fought would obliterate them. So if I'm right, why the act? Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt. I'm really not. But what's a shaman doing traveling alone like this? Me? Oh, no. I'm afraid you're mistaken. I am a canid shifter by blood, like you. Then why don't you smell like one? I press. He clears his throat. Well, you see, I am a destite, unfortunately. Destitutione is a condition in which the children of shaman or shifters are born with no abilities. About 1 in 20 shifter children have it. About 1 in 50 shaman children. Damn. It's the perfect story. I can't possibly confirm or refute it. Then why would you be out here all alone knowing you're vulnerable? Bodyguards are expensive, Mad Wolf. Do you know what you can spend buying a good shaman guard these days? Even regular old town guards turned mercenary are not cheap. He talks about us like he can just buy and sell shifters, just like shaman do. I'm positive this guy is lying, but I am but I am in no condition to act on it. And if I am right and make it an issue, I might get one of my friends killed. Angel's words replay in my mind. What will you do when they enslave or kill you? He's quiet now. I think he senses my offense. I just close my eyes and breathe, taking stock of my body before retreating away from the pain into the mountain. But I still notice one thing: the softness of Angel's thighs under my head, and the tender touch of her hand upon my cheek. I let myself drift off into sleep, exhausted, no energy left to care if my friends think me mad in the morning. Dream world. Been a while, Dalj. Not this guy again. No, you got it wrong, Dalj. I'm different. What do you mean you're different? As usual, not much time to explain. I just came to say, you need to follow Angel. Trust me on this. What? Why? And why should I trust you? You're bonkers. You're driving me bonkers. It's not me, it's him. I'm doing my best, okay? Just trust me. Follow the girl. What do you mean it's him? Just then the laughing starts. Out of time. Sorry. Follow the girl. When his last word ends, the floor of the black void disappears, and once again, I fall into darkness amongst the endless disembodied laughter. Garden of Lies, Chapter 16.